Isla Reynolds stood at the base of the towering, snow-draped mountain, her worn ski jacket a stark contrast to the designer ensembles of the resort guests bustling around her. The luxury ski lodge gleamed with sophistication and wealth, its grand hall overflowed with an elite crowd murmuring about the governor's impending speech. But amidst the glamour, Isla went unnoticed, her presence as easily overlooked as the falling snow outside. She worked diligently at her humble post as a ski lift operator, managing equipment, and quietly assisting those who needed help with their gear. Her deep-set eyes followed the intricate dance of skiers making their way down the slopes. Though she remained silent, her gaze was sharp, cataloging every detail of the terrain she knew better than anyone. Voices trickled out, carrying snide remarks about her plain appearance and backwoods accent, casting her into an invisible shadow among the glittering partygoers. Wealthy couples laughed and ignored her as they filtered past, not giving her a second glance. A young woman, draped in furs, smirked at Isla and muttered something about her tired jacket and scarcity of style. As the governor began his speech inside, a hush fell over the crowd, drawing everyone's focus inward. Outside, unnoticed by most, a fierce storm began to brew. Wind howled against the windows, hinting at its rising fury. Within the warmth of the hall, a young boy, gleeful and restless, slipped away from his mother's side, unnoticed by the adults fixated on political pleasantries. It was only after an anxious cry shattered the serenity that people realized he had vanished into the raging snowstorm outside. Panic rippled through the audience, the opulent setting suddenly fraught with tension and dread. The initial shock of the child's disappearance sent a ripple of panic through the opulent assembly. Conversations broke into a cacophony of desperate whispers and worried cries. The once sophisticated air of the governor's gala now crumbled under the weight of this unfolding crisis. The governor, momentarily flustered, attempted to regain control, barking orders to staff, who looked lost amid the growing chaos inside and the blizzard outside. In that moment of frenzied disarray, Isla Reynolds, the unnoticed figure by the ski lift, stepped into motion. Her time assisting at the base of the mountain was about to pay off. She moved with quiet determination, ignoring the incredulous looks from guests and lodge staff. Her ski boots crunched with purpose over the snow as she made her way to the lodge's equipment room, retrieving her personal gear, a work-worn jacket and reliable headlamp. She pushed past the murmuring clusters of people, her voice steady and loud enough to pierce through the panic, instructing those nearest to her to alert security and organize a headcount of other children in the vicinity. Isla knew the importance of acting fast. Every minute counted, especially with a storm bearing down like an avalanche. While others were stalled by indecision, Isla continued to move swiftly, heading to the lodge's back room where she knew the two-way radios were kept. She quickly distributed them among a select group of employees, those she knew had enough experience on the mountain to contribute effectively. Tasking each with a specific section of the immediate area to search, she emphasized the need to work quickly but safely, prioritizing smart search tactics over mere speed. As she organized the small team, disparate voices bubbled up with doubts about her sudden leadership role. "Who does she think she is?" someone muttered, doubt casting shadows over her calm authority. Yet the urgency of the boy's plight left little room for prolonged contention or disagreements. Outside, the storm had intensified, swirling with an urgency that mirrored the frantic energy indoors. Isla led her team into the blizzard, her heart steady. Her footsteps crunched through fresh snow, and the icy air bit at their faces, rendering whispered doubts and dismissals momentarily irrelevant. Once out in the open, Isla's intimate knowledge of the terrain came into sharp relief. Each gust of wind challenged her team, every inch forward a battle against the elements. She recalled her countless hours watching the paths and trails woven into the mountainside, able to spot subtle signs, a disruption in the snow, a fresh footprint obscured by new drifts, that others would miss. Her survival instincts, honed over years of experience, guided her decisions. The search parties fanned out as instructed, each following specific trails and ski paths. Isla coordinated their movements via the radio, checking in with each group, issuing calm directives as they worked their way through different sectors. Her feet moved swiftly, tuned to her knowledge of the safest shortcuts and how the landscape twisted ahead. An hour pressed on under the whiteout conditions, stress levels rising as each radioed update came with discouraging news. The wind was a relentless force, battering against efforts to spot anything beyond a few feet. However, Isla refused to let despair infiltrate her composure. She urged her fellow searchers to focus on the child's potential path, picturing the most likely exploration route for a curious young mind. Suddenly, she spotted it, a disturbance ahead, subtle, half buried by fresh snowfall, followed by the faint edge of a small boot print. Her heart quickened with both anxiety and hope. Isla moved briskly, following the trail closer to a grouping of tall firs, their branches heavy with ice and snow. Her instincts were validated when she found the boy huddled at the base of a protective copse, his tiny frame shivering against the biting cold. Isla knelt beside him, and the wave of relief that washed over her was tempered by the rush of priority. He was alive, but the cold had taken a toll. With efficient, practiced movements, she removed her jacket, wrapping it around the boy to trap what little body heat remained. She rubbed his arms briskly and checked his fingers for frostbite, all the while speaking to him in a steady, comforting voice to maintain his alertness. Isla then informed her team of the breakthrough, urging them to converge at her location for assistance in safely transporting the child back to the warmth of the lodge. During the return trek, the boy kept close to Isla's side, her steady posture and calm conversations a beacon through the storm. The group moved with newfound urgency, buoyed by a tangible mission accomplished, their initial reluctance to follow Isla now replaced with admiration. Her directives continued to guide them, directing paths that avoided potential hazards, moving with optimal speed and minimal risk. As they returned to the lodge, guests and staff gathered to welcome them, anticipation and worry etched into their expressions. The child's mother rushed forward, tears in her eyes as she clung to her son. A reverent silence swept over the assembled crowd as they witnessed the emotional reunion. This time, Isla wasn't invisible. The crowd, which had once ignored or mocked her, now parted to let her through, eyes wide with newfound respect and gratitude. The whispers weren't of disbelief anymore but of awe, a tribute to the woman who bravely defied the elements to save a child's life. Isla lingered just outside the bustling group, smiling softly. The blizzard still reigned over the mountain, but the storm inside the hearts of those who misjudged her had calmed, replaced by recognition of her courage and unparalleled expertise. In the quiet of that acknowledgement, the unassuming ski lift operator found herself enveloped by the warmth of gratitude. As the swirling winds finally began to settle outside and warmth embraced the lodge interior, Isla Reynolds observed the scene quietly from the periphery, overwhelmed by the rush of emotions she managed to keep at bay during the rescue. The reunion between the boy and his family concluded with heartfelt gratitude extended to her, yet the praise washed over her not as an unexpected miracle, but as an echo of a life once pursued blindly with passion, a life too abruptly taken from her. In a moment of calm reflection amidst the shadows of her past, Isla's memories carried her back to a time when the mountain was more than just a workplace. It was where she had thrived, carving her path as a lifesaver in a world cloaked in peril and beauty. She smiled, thinking back to her days as a highly regarded paramedic with the National Mountain Rescue Team. The vigorous training, the daily challenges of coordinating rescue missions through unrelenting weather, the recognition of her expertise, these were once her reality. She could see it crystal clear. An early morning mission, sunlight breaking through thin clouds as her rescue team embarked on a coordinated operation to retrieve a stranded climber. Isla, the paramedic on call, her face stern with focus, yet soft with empathy, excelled with instructions, her mind consuming every detail, every step to ensure safe return. She recalled moments of triumph, her triumphs, when a life saved equaled beyond measure. Yet these memories were soon tainted with ledges of discord. One particular day loomed large in her mind, the day an unexpected accident shifted her course forever. The mission had been routine. A steep, icy ridge poorly forecasted placed her snowmobile at unexpected odds. The hill descended beneath her wheels with a slip, rendering her vehicle into a wild spiral, ultimately colliding with stone, knocking her unconscious. When she awoke, it was in a sterile hospital room, a throbbing pain radiating from a leg that bore the most significant injury. Even survival skills hadn't prepared Isla for the stillness of recovery, the dawning realization of a permanent limp that eventually barred her from active rescue duty. Stubbornly, she persisted through therapy, but the toll on her body affirmed the tragic truth of her career ending prematurely. Beyond the physical limitations, Isla battled emotional duress. She felt unmoored, the identity she had once been so proud of now replaced by uncertainty. The support of her steadfast teammates buoyed her yet couldn't fill the void of personal loss. Nightmares of what might have been haunted her every moment spent idling, reminding her of how quickly life turned. As weeks turned into months, and therapy both mental and physical continued, Isla faced inevitable financial strains. Her medical bills compounded, and her savings diminished. The dignities of a once assured life teetered. She needed to provide stability anew, not just for herself, but for the son she cherished above all else. At present, her boy, her reason for unwavering determination, he grew with boundless energy and needed more from life than she could give, burdened with limitations. In this crucible of circumstance, Isla made the choice to step down from the rescue team formally. Even as her heart ached with a loss she couldn't completely quench, pragmatism prevailed, leading her to simpler means of making ends meet. The opportunity at the luxury ski lodge came unexpectedly, a promise of solvency if nothing else, one within the parameters of what she could achieve despite her physical setbacks. It was a job well below her expertise, but the closeness to the mountains proved too compelling. By working as a ski lift operator, Isla secluded herself into anonymity among the elite she once would have pretended not to be humbled by. Her accent, once weighted with authority, quieted into a whisper among those who didn't care to hear. Her interactions were minimal, her uniform deliberately plain, blending among the environment seamlessly. These were defenses, though it left a chasm from the community she once cherished. Running her hand along the cool, polished wood of the lodge doorframe, reality contrasted significantly to what filled her heart, those tireless days of valor, camaraderie. As guests and staff began to collectively decompress from the morning's tense episode, Isla lingered quietly in memory, unsure of what future those memories portended. Despite the sadness, Isla harbored no self-pity. Rather, this divergence in life's path enriched her understanding of life's unpredictable charts. The very events that brought her low also inspired a type of resistance and self-worth born from doing what seemed impossible, ever ready to rise under pressure's heaviest heel. Yet, nestled within was a conscious hope that one day, she could turn her heart's resolve outward, with a future for herself and her boy wrapped in love rather than solitude. As the snow settled quietly in the mountain's embrace, Isla remained joined in neighbors' thoughts. Her former colleagues, far from these snow-carved paths, too contemplated her new chapter, their hopes attached to her triumphs in the season to come. Would she remain on duty as a humble lift operator, or would the mountain call her once again to rescue, her compassionate heart and sharp eyes a beacon unrivaled? In the calm of reflection and the heat of gratitude shone in faces warmly thanking her, there was no danger but the allure of touching lives again, fostering renewal both in herself and an unwavering community. Whatever awaited, Isla knew her tale was still being told, and it was by the grace of tenacity she'd write its next page eloquently. As dawn broke the morning following the dramatic rescue, the majestic snow-clad peak stood in silent witness to the transformation happening within the luxury ski lodge below. The storm had spent its fury, leaving behind a crisp, serene landscape. Yet inside the lodge, an entirely different kind of storm was brewing, this one made of human emotions, renewed perceptions, and a vibrant sense of community. Guests were on edge, shifting from disbelief at yesterday's events to palpable gratitude toward Isla Reynolds. The echoes of chaos had settled into whispers of awe and appreciation, circulating through halls rich with memories from the prior day. An air of excitement intertwined with humility as people began to recount the valiant deeds of the once invisible ski lift operator who had saved a young boy's life against the odds. Over breakfast in the opulent dining room, conversations pulsed with gratitude towards Isla. Visitors shared their experience, some having witnessed her unflagging determination firsthand. The story of her rescue evoked admiration in every anecdote. Social media platforms buzzed with vivid accounts and video clips showing Isla leading the slick group of rescuers back to safety, which went immediately viral. The governor, having recognized Isla's heroism in his final speech the night before, ensured she was formally acknowledged. As the news spread, his words were echoed in local broadcasts and newspapers, capturing Isla's bravery with headlines marked by respect. The narrative took on a life of its own, snowballing into laudatory gestures and declarations surprising in scope and depth. In the intimate staff quarters where Isla prepared for another standard day of work, her colleagues treated her differently. Collaborators who once passed her by with cursory nods now greeted her warmly, their conversations reflecting genuine interest and respect. An invitation to join them for coffee arose, a token of budding friendship as the walls that had both sheltered and isolated Isla began to thaw. Yet, it was not only the staff who saw her differently. Guests who previously might have dismissed her as a mere functionary were now eager to express their admiration. A steady stream of well-wishers approached her as she worked, some with tears in their eyes, others with laughter, proud to have witnessed her deeds. Isla smiled softly, full of humility and surprise at the recognition, cautiously accepting the kindness she was so unaccustomed to receiving. The lodge's hotel management called a small gathering in the lounge, recognizing Isla with a symbol of their gratitude. They presented her with a plaque, engraved with heartfelt thanks, which she accepted with grace, touched by the acknowledgement that wasn't defined by glamour or prestige, but rather by earnest appreciation of her courage and skill. As the world beyond the lodge walls became swept up in the story of Isla's remarkable past and present, photographs emerged, the digital age's fondness for rediscovery at its peak. Pictures of Isla in her paramedic uniform, poised confidently amid rescue teams, underscored articles recounting her history. Her life journey, once veiled by modesty, was illuminated by testimony from former colleagues, weaving a tale of relentless dedication into the broader fabric of their community. Comments and shares cascaded across platforms, turning Isla into a figure revered by strangers who hadn't set foot near the ski slopes. Messages poured in, support brimmed in centers far and wide, a warm reminder of the bonds people were eager to forge beyond borders. Yet, through it all, Isla remained the same, steadfast in her work, honoring the solitude the mountain offered her and only cautiously accepting her shift in status within the lodge community. Despite the spotlight, she harbored uncertainty about the changes such attention might invite and continually returned to the quiet flow of her day-to-day consistency. Little did she expect, however, that among those depths of gratitude, people whispered of her potential beyond her current station. Discussions sprouted in boardrooms, in community hallways, considering what contributions someone with her skill set could bring to the lodge and beyond. What avenues could be opened for an individual with proven capability in adversity? The scope of this narrative was merely beginning to take shape. As her newfound connections celebrated her achievements, it became clear that Isla, albeit humbly, carried ripples of inspiration with every step she took on familiar alpine trails. Her undeniable courage had transformed not just individual lives but also the collective spirit of those engrossed in her story. In the echo of affectionate gratitude, guests were seen writing notes, children offering small tokens, ski lessons gratefully exchanged, gestures that resonated with warmth. Among winter's unyielding embrace, Isla's resolve shone unwaveringly as she found herself caught in a moment of reflection, realizing the power in being seen not just for her past but for the potential of her future. Struggling with her newfound fame, Isla spent mornings perched on a secluded outcrop, watching sunbeams dance against snowy drifts unfurled beneath the azure stretch above. Here she ruminated on what lay ahead, balancing gratitude with the persistent rustle of her dreams, pondering where this new path might lead. In this quiet solitude, Isla began to comprehend the profound transformations heralded by yesterday's crisis. While the mountain remained steeped in its silent wisdom, she remained poised to accept whatever dawn might break next, a testament to persistence nurtured by experience, ready to embrace what life still had to offer with warmth built upon grit and the enduring light of community. The crisp winter morning at the lodge was alive with bustling staff and guests gearing up for a day on the slopes. Isla observed the scene from her usual post, her eyes taking in the familiar folds of the mountain she had come to know deeply once more. The air held a festive energy, pulsing with gratitude and untold stories from the recent past. But today promised something different, a possible new direction for her life's journey. A subtle sense of anticipation accompanied Isla's thoughts. Following the whirlwind of her unexpected fame, an unexpected opportunity had been laid at her feet, one she had never foreseen. A seasoned rescue chief, impressed upon learning of Isla's skills, had reached out with a life-changing offer. He sought to invite her back into the world she had left behind, offering not just temporary relief from the monotony of her current work, but a chance to return to the path that once defined her. The offer presented included a paramedic recertification program dedicated to reintegrating skilled professionals into active duty, tailored to individuals ready to step into roles demanding expertise, even after stepping away. The position came with promise, a chance to lead, to teach, and to rebuild not only her standing but also her passions long subdued by past misfortune. Initially, the weight of the offer bore heavily on Isla's mind. Memories of her former life clashed with the physical realities of her present challenges. Fear of failure mixed with the heady potential of reclaiming a calling she had been compelled to relinquish, setting off a storm of doubt that swirled mercilessly in her thoughts. The future appeared brimming with possibility, yet clouded with echoes of uncertainty. But the echo of her name, uttered in reverent whispers and appreciative smiles from guests and colleagues alike, resonated like balm for her hesitant spirit. The significance of Isla's feats hadn't gone unnoticed, sparking support and admiration that gradually assuaged her inner turmoil. Her young son, usually unfazed by her departures, now bore a look of earnest excitement at the prospect of his mother returning to her rescue roots. His joyous rendition of how brave she had been, told with pride to anyone who'd listen, strengthened her resolve more than he realized. His belief in her fueled a desire to act, to rise once more to the challenge she had long cherished. With every recounting of her mountain rescue, strength gathered in Isla's heart, a reminder of her true capabilities and how she had protected others, time and again, with instinct and skill. The mountain, steadfast and echoing with history, seemed to call to her once more, whispering of chances taken and dreams that remained unforgotten but rather paused. Thus, after some days contending with her inner fears and external encouragement, Isla found her resolve. Deciding to seize the opportunity, she accepted the offer to re-enter the paramedic world, a commitment made not through fear of missing out, but with confidence rediscovered in her own competence, strength, and valued place in life. A few weeks later, the time came to transition into her new role. She bid farewell to the lodge community that had embraced and supported her, gratitude and slight melancholy intertwining. For many, she was no longer just Isla, the ski lift operator, but Isla Reynolds, the rescuer, the mentor, an inspiration, tenacious and ever ready. Her story was theirs, and they celebrated her journey with well wishes and promises to welcome her warmly whenever she returned. As Isla approached the facility where her recertification classes would commence, she carried with her a certainty of belonging and belonging anew. Her new uniform spoke to capability refined across silhouettes of mountains and trials she had endured. Her heart danced in rhythms where fear once dwelled, overshadowed now by the knowledge that what she possessed was of considerable value, integrity knitted with resilience, a beacon of strength. Here, she was welcome, tasked with passing on her knowledge to others, sharing lessons embodied in bravery, grounded in compassion. Her presence was not only to reclaim what once was, but to share those hard-earned truths with new guardians of safety, forging her legacy while building theirs. One final image dimmed on the far horizon, her son's proud face, teeming with admiration. Isla pocketed this vision for safekeeping, a reminder tucked close to her heart as she stepped into the assembly hall, greeted by instructors ready to assist in her launch back into active duty. Standing at the threshold of this new chapter, Isla Reynolds embraced her existence wholeheartedly, basking in the warmth of self-belief and dreams rekindled. No longer would she be veiled in solitude or overshadowed by an invisibility cloak of her own making. Her steps into the future were confident, unafraid, and unyielding, primed to face all challenges with unerring grace and renewed determination. Thus, when the echoes of old dreams beckoned anew, it was with the knowing gaze of a woman born, not once, but twice in the arms of the mountain, ready to rise, steadfast in the face of adversity, a tale of resilience and hope engraved firmly into a world waiting eagerly with open arms.